And thank you everybody for coming to our AMA this Friday. Happy Friday. This week we had the pretty big Town Star live update with all the fish and everything in it, the salmon and the shrimp and the sushi. Hopefully everybody is enjoying that competition currently. We've also got the team competition going. I don't have any live standings for that yet. I'm still trying to get the information together. Not all the teams filled out the form properly, so I'm having a little trouble trying to get all that information together. But once it is over, I will definitely make sure that we get a leaderboard posted for the teams who are participating. And thank you for joining a team and playing. It was a fun new thing that we tried this week, and I liked it a lot. I think that's all I really have for Town Star live updates for this week.
Yeah, I'm really seeing a lot of people going for the team leaderboards. I saw the leaderboards actively maintained as well. I think it's pretty cool. And maybe I'll just talk a little bit about all that going on right now. This just nuking and everything that's happening there,
Yeah.
right? So, yeah, a lot of people I've been following quite a bit on Discord, have been speaking to a few individuals on Discord, trying to help them out. And hey, you know what? This script is probably not good. You've got multiple accounts, but I think the first thing to note is there could be some very rare cases where things are probably you get nuked for like small mistakes, but we're improving, and there's a lot of logic that's gone in, and unfortunately, it's very hard for us to just reveal all of that logic, right? Yeah, I see people saying I don't even know how to cheat. Um, got a nuke. So do give all your information. Do send it even to me directly. We can always check. We've been improving the logic from the day when it went live to even today. I think there's constant improvements, and it'll continue to improve, right? But yeah, I think once every few hours you see that leaderboards getting cleaned, and hopefully with better leaderboards, we'll probably have even more competition with teams, and people really looking at their points, believing the points that they see on the leaderboards, and so on, right? So just a little bit on the team leaderboards. Mal, you wanna talk about that? Like that's been going really well.
Yeah, no, I've see. It was very, as I first said, I was very curious how this would go because it was the first one. We didn't, it wasn't there isn't wacky rewards. We've never tried to claim it. It's a very almost show off, braggy type aspect, social, but because it's the main focus is on competition. The spirit of competition is probably the best way I want to say it, and I've seen a lot of that because often it can get forgotten, but it's at the end of the day, the whole fun is just trying to, win at the end of the day. And by allowing these team competitions in, there's just different ways to feel like you're winning in some aspect or area. And of course, one of the things I noticed, which I found very interesting because this was the whole point, I put a hard limit on of 20. Many people were sort of like, what about the people who were less and more? And that's, of course, why we settled in the middle at just 20, because it allows teams to create, if you're a 40, 60 man team, you can just have multiple teams. But what it does is those people who can't get 40, 50 people, but could get 20 or 15 is you're competing in your brackets in that sense. So you're still competing against your own teams in another way, a team, B and C if you're team A. But that's where the fun is because you give others have a chance because it's not just one big clan dominating. Sure, they could have all three teams dominating. That's just the way it is. But you still allow those sort of brackets of teams of 20 to sort of have those points combined versus, all 40 and 60. So I was watching that play out and I found that very interesting by watching the community made scores. And of course, I've been reading the chat a lot and just seeing people get into the team spirit of just purely winning or to be the best team. Because that's just the it's the whole point at the moment as well. We get it refined. There's a lot of work that goes into making these a clean, automatically done, much better experience for you, which I'm going to touch on in the sense of what Michelle mentioned around people not filling the form in. See, me, I was in the position, and I won't come on the same and even try and pretend I was at the point of this is days of work for Michelle because people just didn't want to fill the form in, or they didn't know how to, it's whatever. But this is why we do have these early runs in this format. So we can now say in the next one, because I just want to be clear, if your team isn't registered or you don't make it on, it's not that Michelle didn't try. It's just it wasn't filled in. And we're just going to go over a learning process. So we'll try and make it smoother so you understand what to do. But of course, just acknowledge it now. This is the first one. So if something like that happens, we got things that we just couldn't use to figure out who you are to properly register. So it's unfortunate, but this is why we do these things. So it's better for the future. It's unfortunate now if something like this, especially with the nuke and what's going on, it's unfortunate if it's wrong or we don't know or it can't be explained or people understand, but it's how we're going to iterate and evolve from that. And of course, the idea is to make a really fun experience where you can just sign up and it's really easy and no one does days of work and you have a really fun guild competition. So I just wanted to touch on those things. I've seen someone pop up in the chat say something around rewarding the whole team and stuff like that. Yes, it was never set in stone how it is now. This is just the initial structure while we develop and learn, what we need to improve on, where and how to do it better. And of course, there's just things we can't do now that we obviously would like to do. Tracking in-game, ability to sign up in-game and, select who all these obvious things. We're nowhere near that point, so we're doing it this way. So we're just going to get better as we go along. And of course, with that comes a new structure. It's not always going to be just a 10 top and the things, and doesn't always have to be a 20 hard limit. And we can add new features and new challenges. So it's not always just combined points. And there's lots and lots of stuff we can do. And I hope to do it. And I'm just really enjoying what I've seen so far, especially because it is the first one and people have rallied together. Maybe Michelle can confirm the amount of teams that went in the end. And, I was quite impressed. There was also just some people who put funny notes in, which is, they were basically just wanting to play on their own. It was a rather funny note that I thought was hilarious. But again, this is why we do these things, so we can just get a better process. So I'm going to keep monitoring that. You can keep sending your feedback. I've had lots of DMs and whatever else of just people's opinions, feedback, do's and don'ts. Are you watching out for this? How does it work? And so all those things are being listened to, and we're taking it on board. So I'll stop talking now and we can move on.
Yeah, that one person who filled out that form was super funny, where they just put their one email and then filled out the rest of the sections as I don't have any friends. Can I please play on my own team? Let me play. That was pretty funny. But I think a lot of the issues with the form were just probably some spelling errors. I got a decent amount of emails that weren't even associated with Gala Games accounts. So just make sure that if you are putting in your email into the form to sign up on a team, that you're putting in the correct email. Because if you don't put in the right email, I have no idea who you are based on your entry in a Google form. So just be extra cautious.
Yeah, I'm seeing a few questions, especially one around, what one could do to prevent getting flagged. So a few basic things, right? I mean, if you're using any sort of scripts, don't do that. It might seem very simple. It's just avoiding you a few clicks here and there, but don't do that because, the way these algorithms work, they actually look at who clicked on what, how they're performing certain actions on their board. So, if you're using any scripts, don't do that. If you're trying to switch too many tabs, opening and closing multiple browsers, don't do that. Right? And just try and keep the game open and have fun, right? Try and not get that sneaky little advantage. And if you do feel you've got wrongly flagged, do send some information, and we'll check as much as we can. Right? But during the week, we've actually improved a few more ways to detect folks who've been doing some sneaky stuff with not really getting their gas and trying to sell stuff, etc. But we'll keep doing that. It's always iterable, but yeah, just make sure you're not using any scripts, and you should be good. Talking about nuking and NFTs and Volcron, do you want to talk about how cheating is going to be even lesser with TSG?
Oh yeah. Is my mic okay? Can everybody hear me? There seems to be a up and down with this every week.
Yeah,
Okay,
I
cool.
can hear you.
Awesome. Okay, yeah. I actually have a funny story about that. So, one of the common cheats, or one of the cheats we want to avoid, is trying to play with an NFT that you no longer own. So, what we've been testing this week and last week, we have the anti-cheat where if there's an NFT on your town for any reason that no longer is in your inventory, maybe you traded it or whatever, we have a system in place that yoinks or pulls that NFT off your town, um, wherever you place it. So it's no longer part of it. Now, the fun part of this also is that happens even before what people would call the offline play. So before we do the offline calculations, that's also done so that you're not, so everybody's fair and nobody's running. Like, say you log off for a day and your town gets fast forwarded, that there's not an NFT in there that you didn't actually own. So that's pretty cool. So your town gets cleaned up before it's fast forwarded. But one of the funny things that happened the other week is QA was testing this feature, and as you can imagine, in our environments, QA uses different cheats so they can speed up town building, speed up run speed, stuff like that. And they were placed once this feature went in, the anti-cheat feature, they were placing NFTs, and then the system was yanking those NFTs off of their board because they didn't actually own those because they were using cheats, which was funny because it was the cheats that we intentionally provided them for the back end. So anyway, so now they have other ways to do that so that it works for them and they can test the game. And that was one of the anti-cheat things that's gone into the Godot in the past week or so. Would you like me to keep going with the rest of the Godot updates for this week?
Yeah, yeah, and later we can probably talk about when that's going to be available, like sooner.
Okay. Um, well, not everybody reads or speaks just one language, and so localization is a super important topic for us. So there's been a lot of work going into that. And Townstar, we already, as you all know, we already have multi-language support, but it's important to keep that going, even in new games and such. And as I mentioned, we are testing our offline play right now. That's pretty cool. And there were some fixes that went in this week. There were, let me see, 11 miscellaneous and about 6 that were in regards to the VFX or the UI. There was anybody who's playing in the playtest, you may have noticed when you removed Marsh Pond, it had a quick little spike to your FPS. That's been fixed. Had to do with pathfinding. There's the inventory scroll size. That container size has been fixed. I see lots of wins in the chat here. Other UI fixes, like to the font size, sometimes text would overrun, so now the font size adjusts properly. I know it was a little annoying. A couple people commented there was the little info button in the store that it would swap sides from the right to the left. Now that's consistent, it's on the right. And there was a fix to the quick builder placement. So that was some of the little ones. We did some logic check and some more improvements to the back end. It's always awesome to see what our backend guys are doing. They're some of the best I've ever worked with, so that's great. Can't really talk about it too much, and you guys wouldn't see it anyway, but let's just say, because it's non-visual, but it involves stability, reliability, scalability, predictability, all that good stuff. Did a little bit of mobile work, but that's not a super priority for the next couple weeks. Just put that in there anyway. We're experimenting with a place button for mobile players. I don't think that place button actually has gone live yet. I think it's still in test. And regarding NFTs, this is has been kind of a thing that's been coming up actually since we went live with this public playtest. Is people are like, hey, I don't see my NFTs that are on the ETH chain. I only see the ones that are in the treasure chest. And so what we're going to do is, while we're waiting on our internal chain improvements to happen, we're going to use the same tech that Townstar Live, the live game, does for getting which NFTs that you own. So that'll be easy for us to pull that over. Obviously, the work's already done. And any NFTs that you own, let me put this in a little Boolean condition here. If you actually own the NFT and it shows up in that list and we've implemented it in the Godot port yet, just obviously we can't implement them all at once. They go in a certain order. If it's been implemented and it's in your list, then it'll be in game. So dubstep, so no Jiri integration, right? So we've got Jiri integration going, and we're happy with the progress so far. But there's a couple little things that we want to make sure are tested a little bit more before we go unleash it on the players. So we're going to, for now, for the next few weeks, or I don't actually know the timeline, it's a different team. We're going to rely on the way that Townstar Live does it. So yes, Jiri work is still ongoing. Team is still chugging away at that. But as far as Townstar goes, we want to focus on the known quantity, so there's fewer surprises for the players as well. Yep, so that's about the NFTs. And let's see, I went over the miscellaneous fixes. Probably, I didn't see any feedback on the forum about any of these, so I don't know that anybody was like, super excited about or asking questions about the Miranda's water pump skin or chocolate shop worker name or things like that. Wheat field animation. So yeah, I won't go down that list too much. I'll save us some time here. There's been about 20 new fixes since last week. And that's our Godot update.
I'm going to jump in for a second and talk about the Google form. We do have, for anyone who's in the playtest, the Google feedback form, and it's a feature request form as well. As it's in the pins if you're looking for it. If you can't find it, just send me a message and I'll send you the form. But like Volcron said, things like that little icon for the information in the store had been like swapping back and forth, and we didn't realize, I guess, didn't really think about how much people may or may not like it. And then we got in the feedback form that people preferred that it stay on the one side. So we were like, oh, that's easy. We'll just, fix that so that it stays on one side. But, that's how important it is to, if you've got feedback, be, truthful and honest, fill out the form, fill it out as many times as you want. You can continue to fill it out. It's not locked to a one-time fill out. I think I've only got like 25 entries in it right now. So if you've got time this weekend, fill it out. And then on Monday, I'll go back through it all and I'll pass all the information along to the team and they can see how everybody likes each thing and what things they don't like. And that'll help us assess ways to make it better for everybody. We do love to get feedback from the community.
All right, so there was a lot of questions around when. We're going to talk about that. Pablo, So let me just say a few words then. We are going to have some of TSG launch a little earlier than it was. It will still not have a few things that was originally planned, but at the same time, probably going to be early May, right? A lot of us were speculating on like what does 6 weeks mean, what does 8 weeks mean, but it's going to be early May, and you're going to have a date very soon, probably in the next AMA or the one after that. Right? We're still going to have competitions on those, right? Let me just check if we can have Pablo online and speak.
I can talk about the things that are going in that version. Is that what you mean?
Yes, there you are.
Hey, see, I think my audio is kind of weird, like it drops from time to time. So hopefully it doesn't drop now. Yeah, so we have a vision for a first version that we're working on, and then we said, you know what, we can get this out the door earlier and have people competing in a code base that has less cheaters by default. So hopefully we'll get less problems like that you're seeing right now. So yeah, what we're having is we're gonna have fast forward. That's gonna be a what we call an ad hoc. That means that you connect and you'll see a little pop up no more than 5 seconds, depending on how long you've been out, saying, "Hey, fast forward your town." There's gonna be a flag for that, so you can set it to on or off. We'll have competitions with different metas, leaderboards, rewards, basically the same types of competitions you'll see in DSL right now. We don't think that we'll get all of the NFTs in by then. We're trying, of course, but we'll get the most important ones. As and We don't have townships yet. That's something that wasn't for the first version. You'll all get the same initial town for each particular competition, but they can change from competition to competition. And well, yeah, you have a sandbox mode and I think a couple other things that we have on the background running. We said that we have things like localization on the works and a couple more things. So we're stripping away some of the things that we said, well, do people really care about this if they really want to compete like they're doing right now, but with better code base, more stable, and less cheaters. So that's why we're bringing it to early May instead of late May, like we were thinking before. All the other stuff that we were planning, Golden Goose, offline fast forwarding, couple other things, they're still in the works. They're just coming in their own time. So yeah, everything to get you guys into the new game earlier. Sheena?
Yeah,
Or is it Diablo?
awesome.
How should I call you here?
Diablo is fine. So is it time to show off some cool art? Any
Yes, if we've got art,
questions?
definitely share some art. The only other question I saw while Musashi was talking was just about which NFTs might not in there. Is that more than likely just the newer ones that have come out more recently that just may not be fully developed by the time we get the game out?
Yeah, that's right. So we're still planning to get almost all of them in, but if there's probably one or two which just went out, probably that'll have some extra time. But it should all be in a few weeks anyway. So all NFTs. It's our time. Let's see what we have here.
If somebody can upload those out, I can give a quick update. Somebody with a fast connection, just drag and drop those puppies into. Actually, you know what? I can try to drop. Let me drag and drop. Let's see if we can work on my slow connection.
There you go. There's one.
Oh, you got them?
Doing that.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
So while those are being uploaded, these are actual real 3D assets that are being created by the art team. Before we were always looking at concept arts by Gina. And so we've now moved past that phase for some of the art assets and building them up. And one of the things we talked about doing for the art is to keep the poly count low, because as we grow the board size to huge, we don't want to suddenly run out of make this great art that looks great at on a smaller board, 16 by 16, and then we blow it up to 64 by 64. Now we're suddenly dead in the water because we have so many polys, so many more polys there. And the cool part is that as we've been optimizing the art with the new art team, for example, the storehouse in TSL had 575 polys on it, but the new storehouse in TSG only has 256. So there's a lot of optimizations that are going there, and that gets me excited because think of polys, the lower number of polys is higher frame rate. And so that'll just give us more headroom for all sorts of cool visual stuff. Everything you're seeing there with the black backgrounds and they look like they're in some 3D modeling program, those are all models. We're going to be dropping those in, testing them out, making sure the pipeline's working, and then then we're ready to go. We'll have a lot of art coming. And that's all I got on art there. If anybody has any questions, I'll keep a look at it and then answer it in Slack. No, excuse me, in Discord.
Right, low poly art, that's even better performance, right? Great. So, any questions? Okay, don't see anything significant. Yeah, can you add steam smoke animation to the cakery so we can see when they're working? Oh, that's a nice idea. Right, keep those ideas coming. All right, I think it's time to talk about what's coming next.
Yeah, I think it's probably Mal's turn. The only other thing that was on my list was that other art leak that I think Todd had. I don't know if he was going to share it.
Oh, yes.
I'm sure Todd's out there somewhere.
Oh, he's around. He's got to be.
Where's that?
I think it delays, though. I think on here there's a delay, so there might be a moment before he heals.
Oh, he's listening. We can always move on to talking about whatever other leaks or anything we might have. I don't think there's any meta leaks yet for the next meta, but we do have the sale to talk about, and I think that Top IQ has a couple of other random updates.
I do. I think we should have some leaks for the next meta, though, Mal, right?
I do actually have some leaks and a slight little story time and an introduction for you, Top Boy. So
Please
I can
go
do that
ahead.
if necessary.
No, you're most welcome. Please go ahead.
All right. Well, it's quite funny because yesterday I had zero story time ideas. I didn't know what I was going to say, and of course, there's a lot of change going on. Of course, the community's noticed that internal. Like when change is noticed, it's an interesting thing. And it was a very, very late night call with Diablo that sent me to bed with a very curious mind. And I was pondering, because it's easily ignored when you sort of just running head on. You know, it's just, you got your goals and your tasks and you sort of get, especially like I do a whole variety of things. So it's easy to just not see where changing or when it changes, why, and whatever else. So we had a really good conversation. And I went and also couldn't sleep very well. I had bin men and everything else keeping me awake. But I was pondering the stone story, and I'll get to that. It's about creation and perspectives that I think everyone can use in their life. And so I thought I'd share that with the community, because story time originally started off with more of a moral to the story, some silly story with a moral to it. And I hope that's a similar thing. But around change, I feel, you can see in the channel things get like really hot quickly if people don't understand, it's just the way it is. It's the same in all walks of life. Change can be necessary, needed, unwanted, forced. There's all kinds of change. And each one acts individually, and you usually get multiple that come at once. Okay, so by talking about it and addressing it, it's okay. It's all normal, and it's actually much easier to adapt. And this is what got me thinking, is because, there is change now. Diablo's here leading the way. You've got the legendary meme master Musashi, who's going to be, or is the leader of design, but you'll be seeing more of that sort of aspect. You're going to be introduced into Top Boy very soon, who's going to be taking over the sales aspect and what things go in the store and why, and get to deal with all of those fun things. And these are different various changes that you will notice and the team adjust to. That's how it works. And I'm going to move to a story time role with lore and just kind of try and add a fun, hopefully not a soap opera twist, and just add some life and themes, and looking at guild competitions and, what kind of fun events could be ran. And that doesn't mean that there isn't a sushi Meta coming to be leaked soon, and then there won't be a pizza thing, but of course, just the change of moving over into that role, which is, slightly different than what people expect because they've seen me running around doing all the other jobs. And then this was more of a side thing. Now it goes into being the full thing, which is fun because I like to try and bring entertainment, humor, and some life to things, and I hope I can do that. So now that we understand change, what is change and what's going on here, well, I've just explained that. So how do I tend to look at it, or how I would advise anyone in any time in the life we have a problem that can be creative or can just be looked at differently. And this might seem very silly to people, but I will explain it anyway. I've had no preparation to really think about what I'm going to say, so it's just going to come out very naturally. And it's the stone story. Why a stone? Because it's an interesting thing when you take an object like a stone. To most people, they just see a stone through their lens. It is just a stone. It's a rock. It's whatever on the ground. But a very, very long time ago, before we all had what we take for granted now of extreme logic in the sense of what things can be and how to use and manipulate things to save us, and whether it's build houses and all these things that come from materials that were once things like just stones. And a long time ago, that had to be figured out. And it started because somebody stopped looking at a stone as a stone. They realized what it could be. You can make a difference to that stone, and therefore it is no longer just a stone. It is useful. You could make a bowl, a table, a chair, bricks, floors, weapons, tools. A long time ago, stone was used for many things, which today we're fortunate. Maybe some slate roofs and some nice marble floors and whatever else if you're a bit fancy. But there was a time where stones were just stones, and then somebody stopped thinking like that. And I've always said that there's nothing unique in that aspect, in the sense of it's difficult. Anyone can do it, but it's usually a perspective that I find in this world. Creativity has just been sucked out. I'm not going to go on a rant about school systems and whatever else, but there is not a lot anymore, and it's purely because we have lack of need for it. If you think of how easy everything can be and acquire, and it's all thought of for you in life. If you need something, there'll usually be something there that someone's gone and done. And I guess the point I'm trying to make is you can have the choice to see things as a stone, just does not do anything useful, or you can have the choice to see what the stone can be, how to change the stone, how you can turn the stone into something that saves you or others or whatever it is. It's just an analogy, but the point is to try and look at things in the less of a stone perspective and more of a wide range of resource and utility perspective, in a sense of what things can be. And this applies, wood. You see a branch on the floor, you think of all the things that people have just carved out of wood, and tools and all the various aspects and things that now exist with wood, in houses and whatever else. And it's just because someone at some point stopped looking at things as stones and trees, and they realized that they could become useful and change things. And this is new thinking. And this is often where change comes from, new thinking. The old thinking will end and the new thinking will move in. And usually sometimes it can be a slight blend of both. But the idea is that we evolve, and this is, eventually goes from stone to metal. This becomes an ore in the ground. You eventually find a way to make metal and turn the metal into things. And this is because eventually people just stop seeing the one thing that is in front of them and started seeing everything else it could be. And that is why I wanted to discuss that, because it's just more of a perspective thinking. You could consider it maybe more philosophical or whatever. But the idea is you have a choice in life to see things as they are or what they can be, or both. And it's important to note that. And again, with change, these were my babies and I love them and I will miss them dearly. And I thought I'd be the one to at least say that they weren't going to make it then. And so while we talk about some sunsets, we'll then go on to the sunrises. So the Portal, I love it. It is a popular one, but, with the new thinking and new designs coming in, that one isn't going to make it, which is a shame. But I believe we're going to see some better things and much more ways to make the game fun. And the research centre won't be in its current aspect if it does go over. So that would likely be different. Now, that doesn't mean in the next meta that I'm going to league, you won't see the portal. There'll still be a portal and a research centre, just to be clear. But as we move sort of forward, as you just heard around like NFTs and stuff like that, just don't be shocked, is the point. Like some things just... they're not going to be moved over. There's going to be new thinking, and that's just, it's okay. And we can all sort of know these things and look forward to the sunrise, which brings a new day, a new thinking, a new path forward, which is wonderful. Now I'm going to introduce Top Boy because he is a legend. I feel like he's not new, but I have worked with him now for some time. I don't know how many months maybe he knows, but he's a funny man, and he needs to stop insulting me when I first wake up by calling me Scottish, Irish, and whatever else he comes up with. He just doesn't know the difference, and we're getting there. So I'm going to start calling him American until he gets the point. But anyway, I would like to introduce a legend, Top Boy, who's going to be talking about your sales and handling those. He's very intelligent, and I've got a lot of love for him.
Appreciate you, my man. Hey everybody, it's been a while since I've been up here. I really got to jump in more often, but you'll likely be hearing from me a bit more. But for now, I wanted to share a bit of an update on all of the pending rewards. We've got a bunch coming, and I know you guys have been waiting patiently for those. There's the March milk storages for playing 10 days, for playing 25 days, and for the node owners operating their Townstar nodes. All of those are going to be coming. We've got the pottery shop for the corrupted luxury pack buyers in March. We've got the Galler Award for the competitions in March. We've got the graded ceramic ghost cards for the competitions in March. And finally, we've got the Galler Award for the live competition that's happening right now. I'm working on getting those out as soon as possible. I usually don't like sharing dates, but I think it's looking quite positive for the Monday coming up. Speaking of Monday, we've got quite a special item landing in the store that I think you guys are going to like. We've been making a lot of salmon in the current meta, and we'll be doing that in the next meta as well. We've been making a lot of shrimp. We've been using a lot of seafood. I think there's one core ingredient that I think you guys would all agree. If we could just produce it passively, it'd make life a lot easier for us. And that is passive seaweed. It's not just any passive seaweed stand, though. This is going to be a platinum passive seaweed stand. Yes. I'm looking at some of the reactions to see what that utility is going to be. This one is a platinum. And so platinum, you can look at it kind of like a new series within the legendary subrarity. It'll have a 5 radius proximity, and it won't require a road to be placed. Yep. That's it. No, it's not only 10 for sale. There's going to be 300 of them ever sold. They'll be hitting the store on Monday, April 10th at 11 p.m. as usual, or 11 a.m. as usual. They'll be discounted at 20% for the first 2 days, and they'll be hitting the store at $400. They'll be purchasable in Gala, in Town, and in credit cards. So I'm hoping you guys are going to like this. The utility is quite impressive on this one. And I personally can't wait to use mine if I'm able to acquire one. But thought I'd start with that, and yeah, hopefully you guys hear a little bit more from me in the coming AMAs. Back over to you, Michelle or Mal.
Well, I've got to leak first. I'm sure everyone wants to know what the next method is. So it was really funny actually because Dubstep made a comment in Discord last night, and I caught it and chuckled to myself. And I was going to reply with the very standard GIF in these instances, but that would give it away. I didn't want to be sat in Discord trying to explain everything, and I wouldn't have. So I just didn't. I thought I'd just wait because someone said, I think it was Citizen, maybe I'm wrong, but I think it was Citizen said, hope it's a sushi sort of meta again next. And it is. But then Dubstep comment said, in a box. And of course, the box memes and the box jokes are hilarious. For those that don't know, there was sort of the 2 parcels and the 2 boxes that led up to the final boss meta, it was called, which was the stacked box meta, which was a tier 9 and the highest tier we'd ever done. And it was all crazy. And no, it's not that again. It was just really funny because when you think about what this one actually is, it was just kind of like a sushi version of a box meta, but not as insane, at least as the box metas were. So I'll leak you a picture now, and you'll probably figure out what it is if you're looking in Discord. I'll give everyone a moment. There's definitely been plenty of hints and leaks.
It's beautiful, Mal.
Yes, I was very happy when Brian sent me this. We all know and love Brian. He's safe in the Shadow Realm, doesn't go near portals or anything anymore. So that is a sushi boat. Yes, correct. So that's going to have the salmon sushi on with then the addition of eel sushi, which will have some wasabi on it, and there'll be some rice vinegar on there. So yes, you'll be growing wasabi now. There'll be eel catching, and there'll be some rice vinegar making. So that is the next stage into the fishing content. And you'll be making a sushi boat, which I kind of felt was a little lighter version of a box version of a sushi meta, which was kind of funny that someone said it. But yes, this would be, of course, nowhere near like a box meta. But well, there you have it. You're going to be making rice vinegar and wasabi this time and catching eels. So this is going to be a fun one, I think, and I hope everyone enjoys it. There's been some crazy rates, so there should be some fairly nice rates on the sushi boats as well, but we'll see, because we don't know yet what's going to be for eels and wasabi and the rice vinegar. And you'll probably get a leak on that in the next AMA next Friday.
Nice. So much new stuff. This fishing, I've genuinely enjoyed the fishing content that's been added. Just with between the differences between the wild net fishing and the fishing platform themselves has just been a fun decision to try to make while you're playing, to pick one or the other and just stick with it.
Oh, it's been very fun. I played the puzzle myself. It's actually funny. I don't know if many know. I had a 330, I believe, no NFT build with no skins. Not the greatest in my belief, but I was going to share that, and it turned out that would have probably been a little bit too aggressive to just drop, because people are spending a lot of time to practice and get these things, and then someone just potentially puts one that's the same or close or better. And I can understand that, so I didn't share it in the end. I think it was nearly 400 with skins or something like that. I can't remember anyway. But it was fun, just like Michelle was saying, regarding like, do you have a couple of platforms, go for the 2 rows of nets, 1 row of nets and some platforms. You know, it was a really fun balance trying to figure out the 1 ocean, 2 ocean. I've seen people going 3 ocean, people who had mazes going 3 rivers. It was just really funny to see all the different strategies people took on this one. So yeah, really happy with everyone's progress on that, and I hope that sort of gives everyone a build ready for this one as well. I'll be saving mine.
I see some people asking when the new sushi boat is going to be in. Is it going to be probably not this coming Monday, right? Maybe the Monday.
Friday. Targeting Friday of next week, so that you have the weekend again. I know that's better than getting it on the Monday and having only a night, especially in the content. There can be a sort of, this content's a little bit different than usual. You've got the cold store, well, not the cold storage, you've got the seafood warehouse that has the ice blocks on. Yes, I know. It's not the point of being cruel. It's just part of introducing these things slowly, and as it goes on, and the ice biomes and all these, it eventually all starts to make sense. But you'll have Musashi handling that anyway, who's an absolute genius when it comes to these things. So it's all going to be all right, and it's going to be fun. And I forgot what the other point I was going to make is now around it. Was it a point? I don't know.
Mal, you got lost in your stories. All right. Any questions? Yeah, so they'll be out on Friday. All right. So I think it's a wrap. We're more or less done. Anything else?
I don't have anything else
Has it
on my list
been?
for next week. I think the rest of the leaks we can probably save for next week. I see people asking what the next ghost card's going to be. I would save that for next week.
Oh, we'll save all of that
Nice.
good stuff. And the retention, we have what's called the retention storage. Retention is you playing, and everyone always asks when these are because we haven't even shared it yet, and we are well aware. And we'll get that out as well. So if you see people asking, I see people asking what they are. It's fair. It's for playing the 10 days. I think we're going to do 25 days. Is it this month? And then there's the node one as well for running the Town Star node. So there's a few sort of playing or activity based kind of running the node or playing the game based storages that you can win. And there is one for this month that we will announce.
Yeah, I will try my best to get all those details and get a nice announcement with like a schedule and everything out on Monday. Probably a good bet.
Yeah, okay. I see your question there, which is will the NFT reward for playing 25 days in April still be available? So we haven't done that for April. We also are really looking forward to having the early version of TSG up and going. So yeah, look out for a lot of rewards and more sneak peeks and info coming on May Mayhem. We're going to be giving away a lot of stuff, so watch out.
All right. Does anyone else have any last minute questions before we close for the week?
I was just jumping. I saw some of the notes popped in there from folks like, wait, Portal's going away, research is going away. There's two halves of that. We're with Townstar Godot, Townstar Forever, when we start adding those features in there. Those are great ideas that Mal created in Townstar Live. We're not going to just bring them over lock, stock, and barrel kind of as they currently are, because there's so much more design space that's available inside of in Godot and the new thinking and all the features that we're adding to it. So look for that stuff. It's just won't come over directly, won't come over right away, but there's a ton of great features in there that Mal designed. So look for those things. So didn't want to leave anybody kind of hanging like, wait, you're gonna take stuff out and not put it back. No, there's a lot of good design thinking there. And then the other thing is I saw people mention May Mayhem. Yes, it's coming. Yes, when we have the details, we will share them. The whole company is abuzz about getting May Mayhem, not just for Townstar, of course, but all the rest of the products.
So specifically about the research center, I wanted to mention that we've talked about before about power-ups. The research center is essentially boosting. So we want to change the design a little bit in a way that ties into the light paper and things like competition allocation and earnings, right? So I think that's interesting for the future, for getting more people in and rewarding the players that are loyal to the game in the future. So that's why some changes are happening to the research center, for example. So yeah, it's not going to be in there in the first release, but look out for its implementation and changes in the future, which I think will benefit everybody.
Great.
Awesome.
Thanks, everyone.
Oh, sorry. You can talk.
No, go ahead. I was just thanking everyone for participating.
Yeah, I don't think we have anything else to go over, and we're getting pretty close to time. So unless there's like any last minute questions that really need to get answered, we can probably call it a day.
I'm gonna just suck up the last little bit of the hotel bandwidth here and say thank you everybody for joining us. Love all the questions, love all the memes and involvement. And next week hopefully I'll be back home with high bandwidth and be able to share some more. So thanks everybody.
Thanks for coming, everyone.
Take care, everyone.
Thank you, guys.